Hey everyone, it's Smitha. Today I'm really excited because we're going to be talking all about drugstore lipsticks and in particular the Maybelline Serum Lipsticks. I don't have all the shades. I believe there's 18, but I do have 12. And I love being a resource, especially for people with brown skin, because I just feel like there can always be more lip swatches and swatches on brown skin. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, these lipsticks are not new, but they're relatively new to me. I believe they've been around for at least several months, if not the end of 2025. They come in two different formulas. They come in a matte formula and a satin formula. And what's nice is that the satin formula has more of like a tan packaging and the matte formula has more of this slate gray packaging. So it's a little bit easier to tell which is which if you have both formulas in your collection. I also want to mention that I have the Sigma Radiance palette on my eyes. I really enjoyed playing with it. This was my first time playing around with it. Here's what the inside looks like. If you want to see some more looks with this palette, let me know in the comments. And I will show all of these shades overhead swatched at the end of the video. The first shade that we have is matte, and it's called Take the One. Now this shade I do feel like is going to be a little bit light on me. I may have to go back in with a lip liner, but I'm just going to go ahead and show you what it looks like on its own. And this matte formula is not drying whatsoever. It's almost like a creamy matte, but I feel like saying matte is more like the appearance that it has on the lips. Here is what the shade Take the One looks like applied. And now I'm just going to take the lip liner from Make Beauty. This is the shade Slate, and these lip liners have a pretty luxurious feel to them. They're twist up rather than sharpenable. And this is like a kind of richer brown, not the deepest one in their collection. And here's what the shade Take the One looks like with a lip liner. I do feel like this one suits me better with a lip liner. All right, the next shade we have is Maybe It's Soft, and this is a satin lipstick. And shade-wise, I feel like it's not too different than the one we just tried on. It's just that this is a satin formula. Here's what the shade Maybe It's Soft looks like applied. I do still have a little bit of my lip liner left over. Just gonna add a little bit of Char from Unearthly. This one has more depth. And here's what the shade Maybe It's Soft looks like with lip liner. I actually think that this is a really pretty nude shade for someone of my skin tone. And this is described as a light terracotta rose nude. All right, and the next shade we have is Hold the Door. This is a matte formula, and it's described as a mid-toned mauve. I feel like this shade, yeah, this shade would look good with or without a lip liner. Here's what the shade Hold the Door looks like applied. But I am going to add just a little bit of Char to see. All right, I think I might like this one just a smidge more with a bit more definition. All right, and the next shade we have is called Fit Check. This is the satin formula, and this is described as a mid-toned cool pink. Oh, this is a pretty shade, even by itself. Like it has a hint of brightness to it, but I still feel like this is very wearable and day-to-day friendly. Here is what Fit Check looks like applied. And again, I'm just going to add a little bit of lip liner to see how it looks. All right, I do feel like this one works without a liner, but again, I think I prefer it slightly with a lip liner to without. Next shade we have is called Open Late. This is in the matte formula, and this is described as a mid-toned reddish pink. I have to say, one of the things that I've been happy to see so far is that none of the shades are too similar. I feel like there's tone differences between each of these shades. I like the bit of red that's in that one. So again, this is the shade Open Late. I do have a feeling this one will also look a little bit better with more lip liner. And here's the shade Open Late applied with lip liner. Okay, and the next shade we have is Out Till 4, and I actually did try this on in a previous video, but this is described as a mid-toned cool brown. I love a brown lipstick. It's definitely my comfort zone. I feel like this shade does have like a hint of mauve in it as well. And here's what the shade Out Till 4 looks like. I really like this one. I think this might be one of my favorite shades so far. All right, and the next shade we have is Excuse Me. This is a matte formula lipstick, and it's described as a mid-toned caramel brown. I think in general, I may prefer the matte formula, but I do like them both. It's a pretty shade. And this one also isn't that far off from being what I would consider on me to be a concealer lip. And let's just see what this shade looks like with a little bit more lip liner. Here's what Excuse Me looks like with a lip liner. I like this one both ways, actually. Okay, and now we're going to be getting into some of the deeper tone shades. This is the Satin formula, and it's the shade Blind Date. And Blind Date is described as a mid-toned bricky mauve. That is a pretty shade. I like the depth of this one. This is a shade that's really pretty all on its own. Again, this is Blind Date. All right, the next shade we have is Avenue A. This is the matte formula, and it is described as a deep chocolatey brown. This is definitely a comfort zone kind of a shade for me. I do feel like with the matte formula, you can build it up if you want it to be deeper and more opaque. I love that. Here is what Avenue A looks like applied. Okay, and the next shade we have is Maybe It's Intense. So I tried on Maybe It's Soft before, and that was also satin. but this one is described as being a deep terracotta rose nude versus that one was a mid-toned terracotta rose nude. So basically similar undertone, but deeper shade. And I liked that shade, but I definitely needed a lip liner for it. Here's what maybe its intense looks like. And we are firmly in territory of lipsticks that I definitely don't need to pair with a lip liner. All right, and the last matte shade that I have is called Wild Card. And this is simply described as a mid-toned red. This is definitely the brightest shade that I'll be trying on. And typically I really am not a bright red lipstick wearer by any means. All right, here is what Blind Date looks like applied. This is definitely an out of my comfort zone shade of red. I feel like I could wear it maybe for a date night. But even then, I'm typically going for something a little bit deeper and vampier. Okay, and the last shade I have in this range is called Speed Walk. This is a satin formula, and it's described as a rich espresso brown. Compared to Avenue A, this one definitely has a bit more warmth to it. And here is what Speed Walk looks like. And here's what all the shades I tried on look like swatched my arm. All of these labels are from the wrist down, so Take That One is closest to my wrist and Speed Walk is closest to my elbow. In total, I tried on 12 shades in this line. All right, now that we've had a chance to try on 12 different shades in this lineup, I can honestly say I feel like this is probably one of the best drugstore lipstick drops of 2026. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to try these because honestly, I feel like there's a lot of shades in here that will work for a wide range of skin tones. Even the lighter shades, I feel like worked on me with a lip liner, and I just felt like they were very flattering, even the lighter shades. So definitely let me know what you think and which your favorite shades were out of the ones I tried on, or if you've tried other shades that I didn't try in this video and you enjoyed them, let me know in the comments. And also let me know if there's any other drugstore lipstick lines that you'd like to see me try in a separate video. As always, I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.